Hey all, Todd here, and welcome back to another Wellness Talks brief. So here are 3 major factors that account for and contribute to anxiety. 1. The rules and the tools that we picked up when we were younger no longer apply to the complex situations and scenarios that we now face as a teenager or an adult. Think about it. At the age of 3, or the age of 5, or even the age of 9, the way that you would have behaved in order to get something tangible, to get attention, or to avoid unpleasant situations, if we try to utilize those now, would not go over too well. So a contributing factor to anxiety is trying to utilize old and outdated approaches to dealing with issues that no longer work. Or if they do work, they only work at like 50% the capacity that they once did, or less than 50% of that capacity. Another contributing factor to anxiety is that we've experienced something in our past, and we did something as a result of that experience. Now that doing of something is very similar again to the rules and tools, but it's focusing more so on the tools. This doing of something, this tool that we discovered all on our own, it wasn't given to us, no longer works. A great way to think about this is that we were presented with a nail, we figured out how to use the hammer, and we go through life. Anytime we see something that looks like a nail, we hit it with a hammer. Until we're given a screw, or even a bolt. This contributes to our anxiety and our stress, because our way of doing something, our way of approaching something, our way of dealing with something which came at us, we came up with this approach, we came up with this tool, and it no longer works for us in the same way that it once did, and that causes anxiety. And a very difficult bias to both see and then get out of the way of. And then a third contributing factor to anxiety, and there are more of these, and I'll be sure to post a few more of these in the future. But another contributor to our anxiety are the basic rules. So the first 2 I talked about, the rules and tools, the first 2 I talked about were more so tools, ways that we actually learned how to, from our own perceptions and our own thoughts on the things, are the actions that we do based upon what had happened to us in the past. But a rule is an underlying thought. It's part of our 80% automatic programming. It's underlying everything. These rules, just like our tools, also need to be updated. What would a rule be? Well, a rule might be a little boy or a little girl who are given gender assignments, gender roles from their culture, and they take these roles on, and they assume, because our elders, those who are wiser than me, gave me these things. Or more likely, they haven't even thought about where and why they have these rules in the first place. You haven't thought about where and why a lot of the rules that you have, the scripts running in your background, in your unconscious mind, in your automatic behaviors, where all this even comes from. That is one of the main goals of psychotherapy and counseling and coaching, is helping you to get to those scripts, those rules, those programs that are deeply buried in the program of who you are. So, in summary, rules and tools that contribute to our anxiety levels, to our stress levels, to the way that we actually approach and deal with life start when we're young, and they are ways that we respond to something when we're younger. They are ways that we respond to other situations and the tools that we create to do it. And then finally, they are the rules from the culture, the family, the region of the country, or the country in the world where we come from. They're the underlying pieces. How do we get out in front of this? How do we re-script all this? As I've talked about before, one of the greatest tools for being able to address these things, besides going to work with a helping professional like myself, is that if we can sit and just watch what our mind does, if we can log the behaviors that we've done throughout the day using something like chain analysis or something as simple as a journal, these are the ways that we can find these hidden programs running in the background that at the end of the day, we really wish weren't there. They cause us more grief, more stress than they can correct for. Remember, there's nothing wrong with any of this. This is how we all move through life. This is how we all learn. This is how we all become productive members of society. We have to start with these things, but we can't stay with these things. That would be the equivalent of buying a phone, a cell phone, and keeping that same phone forever. You wouldn't do that. I wouldn't. I can barely keep a phone longer than 2 or 3 years. So I can't imagine trying to keep the same conscious state, the way I interact with the world, from the day I was born until the day I die. Can you?